Hey guys, what's going on? Rick with Rick's Toy Room, and it's here. So the Nintendo Switch 2 Virtual Boy made it early. I know that they were supposed to not be delivered just yet, but myself and a handful of other people have received them early by a couple days, but it's still here. So originally, if you watched my last video when we were talking about updates, etc., I said I wasn't sure if I was going to open this or what I was going to do with it. I've checked the eBay listings. Honestly, they're still only going for like 130 to 160 bucks, and that just really isn't enough. I opened it up on the bottom. They should have a this side up sticker. It's not enough for me to sell, right? It really isn't. At the same token, I don't think it's going to be enough for me to play all the time, but I never owned the original. Wow, this thing's actually a lot bigger than I expected it to be. I never owned the original. I thought it was kind of cool. Yeah, we're gonna open it. We're gonna play with it. So let's see what we've got here. It does not. Oh, it does come with a tripod, so very similar to the old original. It looks like you open this thing up, you lift the front up, you slide in your Nintendo Switch, you close it, you hook up the tripod, and then you stick your head in there and you play games. Now, this apparently can still have the controllers docked to the Switch. People online that got these even earlier than I have said that you can actually play games with this thing. Like you can hook it up and play like Smash Brothers and all that. So to use this, it is Nintendo Online required. You need the Nintendo Online expansion pack to be able to get to the Virtual Boy games. My understanding is there's only 2 Virtual Boy games available for the system right now to play, and then they're going to release a bunch more afterwards. I don't know if we're going to get the complete Virtual Boy library. I think there's only like 14 or 15 games for the Virtual Boy. However, I am going to say having this version now really makes me want to spend the 500 bucks for the OG and get the 14 games. And I saw there was a Street Fighter Virtual Boy game. Probably going to have to look for that. But with that said, here is the back. Has all the instructions on how to use this thing, how to install your Nintendo Switch, all the fun parts. I need to look at one thing here. Not suitable for under 6. How to swap attachment bracket. Nintendo Switch. Oh, so you can actually use this with a regular Switch. That's interesting. Let's see, attach the product to the stand before playing, adjust the angle so it's comfortable to use. So this does not have like a headset gear like a MetaQuest or a PlayStation VR 2, which keeps it authentic, right? I'm really surprised they actually did it this way, just because, like I said, I know the old one actually had like all the parts in it. So let's do it. Let's just hook it up. I'm going to open it. I'm going to use it. Then it'll go back in the box and go on my shelf. It'll sit there as a cool collector piece. Let's get the shipping box out of my way. I mean, honestly, if they go up in price, I'm going to try to unpack this in a way that doesn't get used too much. All right, so the top part had just a generic cardboard sleeve. There's just these 2 cardboard pieces on the side. There is, honestly, the stand on this looks like just like a plate holder. Like, that's crazy. Of course, not having an original, I don't know how the original one worked either. So let's put the side panels there. There's stuff still inside this box. So you got the 2 side panels out, lifted up the Switch. You've got the this is the adapter. I think this is for the Nintendo. Yes. So the adapters are labeled. It says Nintendo Switch on the bottom. So we're just going to put that back in the box. I don't need that. There's nothing that comes out of that side. Nothing that comes out of that side. Okay. And then the safety manual. So that's what's in the box. Let's put this side panel piece back in. Let's put this side panel piece back in. I do like the display box. I thought it was fairly eloquent considering. Let's put the little cardboard sleeve back up. Let's make some space on my desk. Okay, so there's the Virtual Boy, and then it's got this cardboard piece that just held it in the bottom. The Switch 2 adapter looks like it's already installed. Let's get that out the way. fully encased in plastic so it doesn't get all scratched up. There is the red lenses. Now, I'm also understanding that you can actually change these red lenses to play games in full color. So I don't know if they modified the games. We are going to have to remove this plastic to use it. So off goes the plastic. I'm sure there will still be somebody that would pay close to retail on this, being that's going to be used and played with. So let's put that down. Let's get the stand's actually quite heavy. I was joking about feeling like a plate holder, looking like a plate holder, because it kind of does look like a plate holder, but it's actually made of metal, and it's got some beef to it. It's beefy. All right, let's get that set down, and so it's got, get it all folded out, then you drop the switch. It actually slides in here, and this is a locking bracket for the angle in which you're going to use to view it at. So we're going to loosen that up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get this. Does it slide in? No, it like snaps in. It's got a little spring load here, so you can lock it in, unlock it. Okay. Now, if I read the manual, we know I can't read. All right, so that's solid. And then let's give it a little. Oop. Well, did I say that was solid? Because it's definitely not solid. It came out as soon as I moved it. Actually, that's not good. That's not holding into position well. The locking mechanism for the actual Virtual Boy, you can actually pop that right off with a lot of pressure. So you want to make sure that this thing is, loosened and at an angle that you want to view in. And I think I'm going to be like that. So I think that feels comfortable. So let's just lock that into position. Tighten it up. Make sure it's not going to fall anywhere. I'm seeing a lot of ambient light in here, and I can't tell where that's coming from. Part of it is because my face isn't all the way in there, but so that is kind of annoying to me. I'm not a fan of. I think I'm gonna have to go with the manual again. I'm not a fan of how and that just snaps up. So you just lift up right here, and it just disconnects, so you can drop the switch in. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, coming from the VR2 headset and the PlayStation VR2 and the PlayStation VR1 headset, like would help if I took the controllers off. I like a nice, clean, tight fit because you can, block out all the ambient and be fully immersed. So, not really impressed with that. Okay, so there's some. Wow, that goes like. Look how far down your switch sits. It actually sits below the mask. So it goes all the way down to the bottom and then goes to the bottom piece, that locking piece I said disconnects. Real easy. Okay. Close the shell. Let's power the switch on. So that should turn everybody on here in a second. There it goes. Okay. Cool. This is the focus, and the focus is supposed to change the lens, but I don't see how that works. Excuse me, why did you turn off? Come back on. Hello? Nintendo Switch, I'm talking to you. That's annoying. Getting in here to turn on the switch if it doesn't activate with the controllers, even though it just did a few minutes ago. Okay. So right now I'm getting a headache already because the convergence is a little off. And I'm trying to see how the focus, and that's already come untightened. I think that's just for looks. Like none of this stuff works. So the focus buttons, all of that have absolute zero functionality. They don't move. The screen is not very, like, it's not supportive of the lenses. Does it talk about the focus? It does not talk about the focus at all. Weird. Okay, and like I said, this is already loose, even though I just tightened it up. So you kind of need some. You almost need tools to get this thing, because it's just not. All right, there it goes. It's locked in. All right, now we got to figure out how to get to the game. So let's. You're definitely not navigating this. You're not navigating this inside the Virtual Boy, which again is kind of stupid. Yeah, I don't understand how you would need to do this. So let's do Nintendo Online. And maybe the Virtual Boy games aren't available yet, because I was looking for these earlier. And after I signed up for the expansion pack. Now, the expansion pack is $49.95 for the year. That's not terrible, considering you get all Nintendo Online, the Nintendo 64, and what should be the Nintendo Virtual Boy. And the online portion may not, I'm not seeing it right now. So let's do a quick, nope. Nintendo Switch Online, pick my accounts. There probably is going to be a software update to this, would honestly be my guess. Yeah, the Virtual Boy is not showing up right now in the game list. Let's go to online play. The online play doesn't show anything there. Expansion pack only has the Nintendo 64 Classics, the Game Boy Advance, downloadable content. Okay, so that's really a bum, because membership status, Switch Online expansion pack individual. Yep. Yeah. So it's actually, they ship this out so early that you can't actually play any of the games on it. So this is a complete bust of a video, in my opinion, because yeah, I can't play the Virtual Boy games. Let's see if we can backdoor into this. Let's see if they're available, just not on the screen. So we're going to need to search. Let's go into the Nintendo eShop. Let's search for Virtual Boy. And let's see if I can get anything downloaded from there. So, not released till tomorrow. So Virtual Boy estimated release is 2/17. There is nothing right now available to play. So we've got an unboxing video, we've got the product hookup, and we can't really use it. Immediately, though, this is actually kind of a good thing, because this tells us a handful of things that we didn't know ahead of time. One, this thing is absolutely non-functional. Like, you cannot, the hardware itself is literally just a plastic shell. And I mean, I will say, the eye cover being this really nice, it's about as thick, I would say, as a 1mm neoprene wetsuit. And this is shaped, molded neoprene. Really comfortable, really smooth. The lenses in here are fixed, so my guess is everything's going to be handled software-wise. What I have to imagine at this point, being that the buttons don't function, they don't do anything, which is strange. I would have thought that the buttons would have controlled the lenses at least, because in the original Virtual Boy, the inside hardware had a set of mirrors. It had focus adjustments for your eye focal length, and they would actually move the mirrors in and out, and the mirrors would vibrate to create the motion, kind of like active shutter lenses. They would flick on and off to create the 3D effect on the old Virtual Boy. And I know this because there's a guy that I like to watch on YouTube that does repairs, and he was repairing one of these, and he tore a couple down. That's how the original one worked. So I would have thought that there would have been at least something in this headset that would have allowed you to handle the screen focus. So because there's not, and not every person's eyes are the same distance apart, handle the same focus, the assumption now is going to be that the Nintendo Switch itself is going to have a software setting that when they release the games, I don't want game chat. And I don't want to play Zelda right now. My assumption now is going to be that the software is going to change the display on the screen, and it's going to, because the way this works, you actually have, I can't really show you on this video. I might be able to show you. Let's put the Switch back in. I'm going to take the camera with my phone and show you what I'm looking at on side. So we slide that in. And then what happens is the light coming from the Switch headset actually gives you the display. And you can see by these cameras, the camera shots I'm going to upload, is that they definitely have two independent lenses that are going to converge. So that means that when they update the software, so software update's got to come out for this thing tomorrow. When the software update comes out, my assumption is going to be, actually, you know what? There's one thing. Okay, yeah, the light is 100% provided from the LCD backlight. Okay, the assumption is going to be that there's going to be a Virtual Boy software you can download. Going to download it. It's going to have you put it up into the Virtual Boy, and there's going to do a configuration. And my guess is they're actually going to split the display down the middle so that you have your left image, your right image, and the two magnifying glasses here will cause the conversion. And you're going to software control how the image is on the screen of the Switch to give you the focal change so that you don't end up looking cross-eyed, get massive headaches. That would be the assumption. Now, they did something very similar with the Nintendo 3DS, where the 3DS had a convergence switch on the side of the LCD that would change the depth of the 3D. So if you're having problems with like your eyes focusing or you're getting headaches, you could change the depth of the 3D so that it worked for everyone that was playing it. At this point, I have to assume that's going to be software enabled for this. So we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. That's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because I really kind of wanted to play it. It's a good thing because now I get more content. But yeah, so there's your first opening and review of the Nintendo Switch Virtual Boy. And they also did another version of this. So if you didn't want to spend, and this plastic shell, and it's all it is a plastic shell with two lenses, cost $100 plus shipping. So it was like $1.32, I think, with taxes and shipping. The base is very sturdy. The plastic shell is very thick and heavy. And we know from other consumer electronics like the Beats that weight correlates typically with value and cost and expensiveness. So my guess is they made it as heavy as this to give it like that feel of the first Virtual Boy, and again to make it feel better about buying a shell. This is not the first time Nintendo has done a virtual rig like this. Now, there's another version of this that is in cardboard, and that leads me to, they did this with the original Switch. What was that? The labs, the VR labs, where they basically had like these cardboard kits that you made your little Switch holder. You folded up and you did some origami type stuff. You folded it up, you put your Switch in there. You had like a small little rubber headband that held the cardboard to your face with the Switch, and it had glass mirrors just like this. And then you could get software, and they had like little different download packs. And then you'd go to the store and you'd buy a cardboard pack, and the cardboard pack would let you build, like a bazooka with a rubber band, and a bunch of other stuff that worked with the VR headset that Nintendo released in the cardboard cutout. Well, they did the same thing with the Virtual Boy. They made a red cardboard that your Switch can slide into and play the Virtual Boy games from, and then the $100 Virtual Boy rig. So, overall, for the $100, is it worth it? I'm a Gizmo gadget guy. I love pretty much everything 3D. I like a lot of VR stuff. I had the PlayStation VR 1. I've got the PlayStation VR 2. I've looked at the Oculus. I've looked at MetaQuest. I considered buying that Apple Vision. Microsoft had their 3D headset out. The tech is really expensive. So the fact that Nintendo made this for basically $100 that uses all your own Switch 1 and Switch 2 hardware, like, not a terrible deal. I think the biggest part and problem I have with this is the only way to play the games and get to be able to play the games on this is they put the games behind their expansion online paywall, which again, $50 for an entire year. Not terrible, but I'm really getting tired of subscription services. So you got Netflix has a subscription, limited characters. You have Xbox Online, PlayStation Online. You have every video service on demand is all subscription service. And Nintendo's like, well, hey, we have Nintendo Online that regularly I think is like 30, 20. What's the subscription package for Nintendo Online right now? Actually, I got to go back to the shop. I think the Nintendo Online package, I know they've got like a $3 a month one. All right, Switch Online. So $4 for a single month, $8 for 3 months, $20 for 12 months, and that's for one player. There's a family package for $35 for 12 months that lets like 4 players play online. And then they have the online expansion, single player, and is $49.99. There is and then there's the family online expansion plus where you can play the N64, the Virtual Boy, the Game Boy Advance, and that's $80 a year. So you got $80 a year for the family multiple players, $50 a year for expansion plus for this and the 64, $35 a month for family, no N64 Advanced Virtual Boy, or $20 for a single person with no Virtual Boy. I mean, you go from $20 for a year. I keep saying for a month. For 12 months, it's $20 to have no N64, no Game Boy Advance, no Virtual Boy, to $50 for the year. So a $30 jump for 3 systems that in all, let's be honest, probably only have about 50 games worth of damn. I'm not happy the fact that they have such a jump in cost on paywall for online subscription to play these games, especially when they're only going to have 2 games out tomorrow. And I don't think they're going to have the full 14 game library because there's a lot of licensed product through third party, like so Capcom has Street Fighter. I don't know. I still think it's cool. I had to buy one. They had a limited amount of these online, and they turned around and opened it up for already Nintendo subscribers to buy it again. They opened more up. So at the time, I'd actually just subscribed because me and Dusty were playing Zelda and Link to the Past. So I was like, I'm already subscribed. It's $100. Never had a Virtual Boy. Let's buy this. I still think I'm going to buy an original Virtual Boy now. There's plenty of people that still have them for sale. So I may buy an original and do that. But for now, that is it. That is your unboxing and your quick review of how this works and what this is. Tomorrow, as soon as the update comes out, we will update the Nintendo Switch. We will download the 2 games that are available. We will play the 2 games. We'll do the configuration. I'll tell you how all that's going to work. And you can make a decision if you want to try to buy one of these secondhand or if you want to hit eBay and buy one still in box for like $160. So, all right, guys, that's the video. We'll get at you.